Hey, good morning, everybody. Video 44 coming at you another video. What is it, Tuesday? I don't even know what day it is. I feel good, slept well. Hope all of you guys are doing even better. So, yeah, everything is everything in regards to the world of sports. Of course, the first thing that I see when I wake up is something I think is necessary to see, which is more coverage on Brett Farve. It's the first thing I saw, which I was very encouraged by. And essentially, what it said was the old typical, if he were black, would he be able to do this? And everybody, of course, knows my opinion is, nah, he couldn't do this if he were African American. But I think that the question is not just about if he were African American, it's about if he were of his status and black. Because obviously, if he were just a regular role player or something like that, this wouldn't be given as much attention as well, I don't believe, regardless of his color. But the fact of the matter is, he's one of the greatest players to ever play his sport, one of the most decorated champions in his field, and I just don't think LeBron James could have did this without it being the biggest thing in the world, without people wanting him to go to jail, calling out everything around him, etc. All his friends would be called out. Everybody who's linked to LeBron James would have their names at least brought into the conversation, if not drugged through the mud, just for being associated with him. I'm not saying he and Brett Farve have the same money. I know Bron is probably in a different place than Brett, but that's not the point. When you're on my level, everybody's rich. You understand what I'm saying? When you taking money from people who don't have nothing, when you're up, whether you're a million up or a billion up, take it from people who don't have anything. Um, it needs to be talked about, and what happens to you um, needs to be talked about as well. And that's ultimately what I think the America is waiting to hear. Is there going to be more news um, to this? Because it seems like it's not being discussed, to say the least, and I'm also wondering if it's being addressed. So I just know Bron couldn't do this. At the end of the day, that's where my mind goes. I just know he couldn't do this. All the things that he's been criticized for, all the stuff that he spoke out against, all the things that people have asked him to shut up and dribble about, couldn't do this. You know, I saw one of my good buddies, a Laker buddy of mine, posted something, said, you know, OJ had his, uh, didn't have his name stripped from the Hall of Fame, although I thought it had been, to be honest with you. But this guy said OJ didn't have his name stripped from the Hall of Fame. Brett, you know, in his mind, Brett shouldn't either. And see, this is a situation where we have to go by the letter of the law first and say whether you agree with what the decision was or not. Um, OJ didn't do any time for that, and that is something that we know to be information that is real. So, as we talked about, information we can hang our hat on. A lot of people don't believe OJ was innocent. I don't know what to say to those people other than um, you can't strip somebody of their Hall of Fame status uh, for something they didn't get, you know, get convicted for. At the end of the day, you'd be looking at lawsuits and all kinds of different things in that situation. So, um, like I said, I thought they had taken it away from him, but that they didn't. I can see why they didn't. And in this situation, I think it's a bit different. Even though no murder was taking place, what you do have is a situation where you can 100% bet that people's lives were affected negatively and some lives were lost as a trickle down effect of money not getting to where it needs to be in situations such as that. You know, I mean, it take a heck of a lot of homework to paper trail directly to, you know, what exactly takes place when you consider the money that was taken was coming directly from a very serious fund for underimpoverished people. Those people need that money. Those people come from situations that probably are war torn in nature, violent in nature in a lot of cases, raw. in nature in a lot of cases, those are the people who really need the money the most, or the people who are dealing with the worst of circumstances and realities, and that's exactly who he took from. So trying to figure out how things trickle down to people losing their lives would probably take a lot more work than necessary, but that you understand life will be lost because of this isn't far-fetched. That's what I will say. When you take 5, 10, however many $1 million away from a fund that only goes to poor people, you best believe there's going to be some murders that take place because people don't have that money. So maybe it's not him doing the stabbing, right? Maybe it's not him doing the shooting, but it's still his fault. Just the same, him and those who helped do this. That's whoever the person is. And see, that's another thing. These people's names should be well in my mouth. I'm talking about Ime Udoka. I'm talking about all kinds of different stuff with his business. I'm talking about Robert Sarver. We talking about everything else. That congressperson who was helpful in stealing this money, that person's name should be in our mouths. Anybody else he had a conversation with, they also should be spoken of. This is not something I'm proud of, coming here unprepared, but that's the point. I think that me being unprepared speaks to the reality of how this information has come my way and how little it's been intriguing to me. You know, as important as it is, these people's names, story ain't being released in such a way to say, ooh, who is it now? Who is it now? It's about what you do around the information. The information, look at it like this. In the cases involving Sarver, Udoka Boston, and this, 3 things are consistent. Trickled out slow information. All 3 consistent. The first thing we heard about Sarver was he got in trouble. You don't know what it is. First thing we heard about Brett Farve is he took some money. That's about it. Third thing we heard, the first thing we heard about the Boston Celtics was Ime got in trouble. That's about it. And they feed us a little bit of information slowly but surely. On the Udoka situation, we get the information every hour. We get new information. Every hour and a half is something new. Robert Sarver, they started out that way, let it fizzle out as soon as the Boston news hit. With Brett, you got to be looking for that. You got to be looking for that. That's why I was so shocked when I turned on the camera and saw that. I was like, whoa, Brett Farve. And it wasn't like they were actually talking about Brett. No, they were just talking about people not talking about Brett and how he could not get away with this if he were African American. I just think that at the end of the day, Bron couldn't do this. They would shut the show off the TV. They would try to call for him to be pulled out of the Lakers. They would be calling for Jeannie Buss to take action and suspend him. They would be calling ESPN and everybody in their affiliates would be talking about him every day. Skip and Shannon. Shannon would have to turn his back on him. Skip would have a good time with that one. I mean, it would not end. The jail time people would be calling for, the picketing and all kinds of different stuff that you would be seeing across the country. It would be the biggest thing in the world if LeBron James stole any money from any fund, let alone from poor people. He could not do it. Like, I don't even think he'd be able to get, as soon as he would inquire, somebody would probably snitch on him. Like, it's just certain things you just should not be able to accomplish regardless of who you are. And this is one of those things that should not have been possible. There should have been no way a private citizen of any kind has access to those funds. The sheer nature that he can make phone calls and emails to have access to that money speaks of something very wrong with the system from which that money sits in the first damn place. Those funds shouldn't be requested upon. Like, that's not something anybody should be able to touch. Are you kidding me? Like, the sheer nature of that alone speaks to what's exactly wrong with that situation there. Those funds are touchable for people who have connections. Why is that? Forget Brett Farve. Why was that money accessible to him? Okay? See, certain things we can look at and say, Brett Favre's the worst person in the world. No, you got to look at the system from which that money was held and say, why was that door open for Brett? Who the hell left the gate open? That money shouldn't have been able to be touched by any private citizen. That money should have been going directly from one system into the hands of those who need it. System to people. How the hell did he get it? He can make phone calls because he's a football player to some random congressperson that was just voted in by a bunch of people? And those two human beings, along with the help of whomever, can actually get their hands on that? What's up, Mississippi? And at the same time, you got a water crisis going on that no one is talking about. Just like Flint, Mississippi got a water crisis going on in certain areas of their state. People aren't getting fresh water. Simultaneously, this story is out about this man, supposed to be one of our great football players, stealing money from that same state, from the poorest areas of that state. So as far as I can tell, taking away his Hall of Fame stuff and all of that, he's a candidate for that. He's a candidate for it, man. I think it's a conversation that should be had by the academy or whomever is in charge of that. I think guys need to sit down and say, does this guy represent what it is we represent? Just because he threw the ball around in a very good way, he disgraced himself in ways that we can't just erase. I would never minimalize what others have done in the various circumstances where they disgrace themselves. But when you consider the situations that we think of, those situations involved that person and the party they were involved in, however it played out. They were affected and their village was affected. That's it. This is something that reaches and spans infinitely. You can't actually tell who all was harmed by this. There's no way to actually account for what all went wrong because of this. Because something like this doesn't take place in one action. When you take millions of dollars from a poor fund, that reverberates throughout time in regards to those poor people, because one mistake could beget some tragedy, could beget some trauma, could beget some rawness, could beget more crime. That's what happens in those areas. This is what Brett Farve is initiating with his actions. Trauma. Not to say that he could stop trauma by making that money get there. Don't get it twisted. That money is not the solvent for all of those problems. That's not the point. I'm not asking him to solve those problems. I'm asking him to not create more of them. And his action created more of them. Forget what his responsibility is to solve those problems or not solve those problems. Your responsibility is to not create more problems for those people. Because I know that's the first thing people are going to say. It's not my responsibility to save the poor. It's your responsibility to not make the poor feel being even more poor. It's your responsibility to ensure that you don't annihilate human beings who are poor. So you can build a rec center that they won't be welcome in. That's the part that's really snotty about all of this. This is really like a child and deserving of a spanking. It just brings it to a real petty level to say, you're not sharing with everybody. Why are you sitting here eating in front of everybody? You're like a little child that was never told to share. Like, not only are you taking from people, but now you're going to create something that they have no rights to enjoy. At least if he had some decency in that mind of his, he would have taken the funds and created a rec center that would allow for those same individuals to benefit. He ain't gonna build a rec center in some college that only he and his cronies can go to. He's gonna build something in those neighborhoods from which he's taking that money. But then again, if he had the heart to do that, it would never be the heart to take the money. Which is why this just speaks to the character of the man and the people he was working with, and they're doing this. And that's why I think they need to spend a lot of time paying for what they've done here, man. Like, just paying for it. And in a perfect world, we wouldn't just account for what it is that was done. We would account for all that could be possible because of what is done. And if that's the case, the punishment is going to be ridiculous and probably too much, to be honest. And that is why something like this needs to be deterred by those who actually want to see our country build forth, right? Not those who want to continue to put us in a position to be at risk in various ways, morally and safety-wise, and all these different things that could go wrong. We need those of us who are responsible individuals in the room, who are wise enough to understand that it ain't just take everything from me and leave nothing for everybody else, because eventually that's going to tear down your empire. For those of us who understand that wisdom, we need to deter this behavior from selfish individuals who are unwise, like Brett Farve, who will take from the worst of us and leave the rest of us in a position to have to clean up that mess. As somebody in California who, in this environment, because of lack of funds in certain areas, because of lack of support in mental health facilities being open and various things that directly are affected by funds such as those that Brett stole from. Because I live in an environment like that, I understand what goes wrong when you take that money and you take those funds and you don't put it where it needs to go. I know what that looks like. When I worked in Santa Monica, I told you guys a lot of times I was working around mentally ill individuals with absolutely no care. And I'm not talking about what they felt in their heart. I'm talking about they had nobody taking care of them in any way. They were out in the world by themselves to do whatever it is they wanted to do without any help. And because of it, they run around knocking people over their head. They run around doing crazy stuff, pulling people out of their cars. Anything that their minds could fathom to help cope with their circumstances, they was doing in Santa Monica. Completely out of control. No one between you and them. That's what we deal with out here. We deal with the mentally ill. At any given moment, you could look to the left of you and somebody crazy could be coming at you. Just because of stuff like this that Brett Farve has done, that has been done in this state for years. People taking the money and put it in their pocket and letting the people fend where they need to. Taking these facilities and closing them down and pocketing the money because they don't want to keep them going. And these people who are supposed to be in these facilities, who are supposed to be cared for, they outside waiting to interact with a random person. You. That's what circumstances such as that does. That's exactly what it does. So that is why I think this conversation needs to be more intriguing in nature. Y'all need to give us the tea. Let us know who the names are. Hide a little bit. Give me a little more. Show me what it is. Give me the whole Udoka treatment in regard to Brett Farve so I can be excited about what the hell I'm talking about. Because you've done everything you can to make this as boring as humanly possible. And I feel it. I don't care about this, and that's a problem. Because I do care about this, and it's a problem. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.